All right, let's talk about the one thing that's at the heart of pretty much all fitness, core strength. For years, we've all been told there's one exercise to rule them all, the plank. But what if I told you that advice isn't just a little off? What if it's actually holding you back?
So let's just rip the Band-Aid off with a statement that probably sounds like total fitness blasphemy. Stop doing planks. They're not functional. I know. That goes against pretty much everything you've ever heard at the gym. So stick with me, and let's actually break down what that means.
And I can almost hear what you're thinking. Wait, the plank? The gold standard? The exercise my trainer swears by? Yep, for what feels like forever, that's been the gospel. So let's dig into why that whole idea is being seriously challenged right now.
First up, we've got to understand how the plank got put on this pedestal in the first place. To see why we need to move past it, we have to look at how it got here. It just blew up because it seems so simple, right? No equipment, you can do it anywhere, you just hold the position. It basically became the visual for a tough, stable core.
And this right here, this is where the goal and the reality just don't line up. We all get down on the floor hoping for a rock-solid core, for strength we can use in everyday life, and to, prevent injuries. But the reality for so many people, it's often the total opposite. Because keeping perfect form is so hard, a lot of us just end up with a screaming lower back and hip flexors that are doing way too much work.
Okay, so let's really get into the cracks in this foundation. It turns out the problems with this seemingly simple exercise are actually pretty big, and they really make you question this whole idea that being perfectly still equals being strong.
So why do static planks fail us? Well, the biggest issue, by far, is that perfect form is just crazy hard to maintain. The second your hips start to sag, and they will, gravity just takes over, and it puts all this unnecessary pressure right on your lower back. Ouch. Plus, you're lighting up your hip flexors, which, for most of us who sit all day, are already way too tight. But honestly, the biggest knock against it is that holding completely still just isn't functional. Life isn't a static hold.
And I really want to hammer this point home. This is the #1 reason. More than anything else, it's an exercise that most people, most of the time, are doing wrong. And if your form isn't perfect, you're not just missing out on the benefits, you could actually be setting yourself up for an injury.
So if the static plank is out, what's in? What's the answer? Well, this brings us to a much better way of thinking, building a functional core. It's time to completely shift our mindset, away from being still and toward dynamic, powerful movement.
The key idea here is functional strength. And look, that might sound like some fancy fitness buzzword, but it's really simple. It's about your core being able to support you in real life, when you're lifting groceries, twisting to grab something, or picking up your kid. Think about it. Your core is the bridge between your upper and lower body, and that bridge was built to handle traffic and movement, not just to be a statue.
And the solution is actually beautifully simple. We don't have to throw the plank out entirely, we just need to make it better. The real key is to take that stable plank position and introduce the one thing our bodies are actually designed for, movement.
And here's a perfect way to do it, the dynamic plank. So you start in that good old solid high plank position, but then this is where the magic happens. You keep your core locked in, no saggy hips, and you slowly and with control add a small movement, like tapping one knee toward the floor. See what's happening? You're forcing your core to fight to stay stable while you move, and that is exactly its real-world job.
This all leads us right to our big takeaway. It's time to move beyond the plank. It's time to adopt a whole new philosophy for training your core, one that's built for how we actually live and move.
If there's only one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this right here. Train your body for what you actually want it to do. And every single day, what we want it to do is move effectively, powerfully, and without pain. So train for movement, not for stillness.
So I'll leave you with this one last question, something to really rethink your next workout. What if real core strength has nothing to do with how long you can hold a static pose, and everything to do with how powerfully and smoothly you can move through the world? Making that mental shift? Well, that could be the biggest game changer of all.